You're doing what you think you're supposed to do, not what you feel in your heart you want to do. Kindness is the heart of everything that I do, and it all came from learning to be kind to myself. If more people could be kind, it'd be amazing what they can see happen in their lives.
Welcome, everyone, to the Build Stuff, Be Kind podcast. Today, we have the pleasure of having a dear friend of mine, Ariel Kalani, on the podcast today. Ariel runs Define Me, a creative design service agency helping brands, individuals, and her clients really define their digital presence, their brand, their strategy, and all things that make them who they are. So we're going to dive in on that. Ariel, how you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Excited to have you.
So excited to be here.
We're going to have a good, fun conversation about all the things that both of us love, because I don't think we've had a conversation since we met that hasn't involved something to do with brand, strategy, design, creativity, community, all the great things.
Right. And to begin, we were actually introduced by your sister.
True. Yes.
At a networking event.
Mm-hmm.
When I think I was the first one there. I got there an hour early.
You're just really excited to get your networking on.
And your sister also read the time wrong. So she was there early.
Nice.
And then the whole time she was telling me, you need to meet my brother.
That's so funny.
And then we met at the very end of the night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was actually one of the first networking events I've done with my sister, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
It was the first one I ever went to.
Really?
And that was what was so funny about it.
Yeah.
Because I was nervous and I got there early. So I was there when they were setting
extra
up.
Nervous by the time this thing was rolling.
Like, oh.
Yeah, it's like, can I help? Do you need help setting these things up?
I just pretended to be maybe like I wasn't going to the event.
Yeah, like, I'm just here. For a pre-meeting before the meeting. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like no matter the event, especially a networking event, there's definitely even if you're not an hour early, you can get yourself in a mindset like, okay, I've got to I gotta present myself right. How am I gonna pitch myself? But I've found that the best events I've had is when I just kind of forget all that and just I'm just gonna go talk to people. I'm just gonna have conversations.
Right. And I stopped trying to have if I just have one or two good conversations,
yes.
I'm satisfied.
Totally.
It's not a numbers game.
Yep.
And it's actually about genuinely connecting with people and for it not to be a hard sell.
Yeah.
I'm actually the last one I went to wasn't necessarily looking for anything other than connections.
Yeah.
And more like-minded individuals.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Then recently we ran into each other again the other night. At that event, you said you just were looking to have more of a conversation, not trying to get a bunch of numbers. How does that, what made you decide that? So your first one, we met maybe 4 months ago.
Right.
Have you been to many others since?
So I knew that networking would change my life.
Yeah.
And I knew that not networking was making me hold myself back.
Totally.
Which is something that I've been working through for years, not holding myself back from succeeding.
Yeah.
And it's funny how you get in your own way all the time for no reason.
Yes, just because.
And that's a huge, one of the biggest reasons I love your Be Kind motto is because getting out of your way stems from being kind to yourself.
Oh, 100%.
And it's say something nice about yourself, Yeah.
You're
like, oh.
That's true.
You're nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of networking, I knew that was going to be a game changer for me. And it absolutely has been.
Yeah.
So I make it a goal to try to go to one a week.
Nice.
And since I've been doing that, I've become so busy. Sometimes it's not one a week.
Yeah.
It's one every 2 weeks, maybe 3, but
Totally.
I try.
Yeah.
So this week I probably won't go to one, but next week I will.
Yeah.
And I think it's not always about generating leads, but going in with how can I help? Or is there, someone that I'm going to run into or meet? And
Totally.
I felt like I should have gone to that one, and I'm glad I ran into you.
Yeah.
It was such a great, pleasant surprise.
Totally. Yeah. I feel like you talked about something that I don't think we've really even fully touched on this episode, or on this podcast yet, is kindness to ourselves. And I think, especially with networking, you get all these ideas in your head. Am I good enough? Am I, all these self-doubts when you're trying to put yourself out there or kind of expand your capabilities or expand the areas you're trying to accomplish things in. What is it about those scenarios that, in your experience, has maybe brought up those thoughts of insecurity or allowed you to not be kind to yourself? And then how has being kind to yourself led to more opportunity?
I think that I've battled this for just such a long time. I used to use negativity to make myself go, like, you don't want to do this, or to like stay in shape, or to get a step further, kind of using like that negative pull. And I realized that that doesn't actually make me feel good, and I might make progress, but it's not the way that it should be.
Yeah.
So I got a life coach at the beginning of 2021.
Nice.
And it's been a huge self-love build.
Yeah.
And he makes me say nice things to myself all the time.
Amazing.
And it actually feels really good.
Yeah.
And I think there's something weird about like your ego that gets in the way. And also, you don't want to be cocky too. Like, is it cocky to say that, for example, one of the things I say to myself is, I can do anything I put my mind to.
Yeah.
And I actually believe it.
Totally.
So hypothetically, if we wanted to decide we wanted to get on a commercial, I want to dive into acting. Could we make that happen?
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It starts with the baby steps.
Yep.
And that's where manifesting kind of comes in, because
I'm a big believer in manifesting.
if you believe it and you start making steps towards it, it's now your reality.
100%. To me, so I also work with a coach, and his philosophy is very much, he calls himself the coach of being. And we are creators. We create our day. We create our thoughts. We create everything that we interact with is a creation of ourselves. When we show up to a networking event and we're intimidated or we're scared, or it's like we're creating that in ourselves.
Absolutely.
Right? And so to say with confidence, I can do anything I want, either way, you're creating yourself. If you don't say that to yourself, you're creating yourself as someone who just goes by whatever comes their way. You create yourself as anything that I want, I can accomplish. Anything you want, you can accomplish. And I think that's where I don't think it's ego. I think it's no matter what we do, whether we manifest or say these things to ourselves, or we just live by all the things that we've been told our whole lives, we're still creating ourselves when we walk out the door. So why not be deliberate about how we are creating ourselves? So when we do show up, we show up how we want to show up, how we're creating ourselves as showing up, versus just allowing all these collection of thoughts.
I call those ghosts.
Ghosts.
Ghosts
like
that are in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it all starts when you wake up. How are you setting the tone for your day? Are you making your bed? Are you drinking water right when you get up?
Yep.
Are you maybe thinking positively, or are you already like in a dark place right when you wake up?
Totally.
I started falling asleep by saying things I'm grateful for. And I close my eyes.
Love that.
And I breathe into the gratitude, and I just try to think of as many things as I can, and I'm sleeping better. I'm having more
Amazing.
positive dreams.
Yeah.
And I wake up in a better mood.
Wow. I love that. I think that's such a powerful, I think gratitude, I mean, there's studies of one of the biggest like deterrents to depression and anxiety is gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Because it just like, it starts to rewire our brain to look for things to be grateful for, to look for reasons to be happy, to be encouraged by the day. And I think gratitude is such a powerful tool that we can use.
Right. So circling back to the networking events, it's like going in there, trying to be yourself, not having expectations. Because when you do that, you actually can see through the people who aren't doing that.
Yeah.
And it becomes so clear. It's almost like, I don't know if it's like enlightenment, but like working towards being your best self.
Yeah.
As you become more and more clear with who you are, your purpose, your direction, how to be a good person, then you see like the old you or other people who aren't quite doing that.
Yeah.
And it makes you kind of want to help them.
Totally.
Like, hey, love yourself. Be kind.
Yeah. That's such a beautiful thing about when you start to recognize that you are creating yourself no matter what, that your words are powerful, and that like things that the way you experience a networking event or interactions with friends or family are based on how you have created yourself that day. Then you start to see how instead of someone saying something rude to you is like, oh man, they're rude. It's like, oh, well, how are they being? Like, what state of being are they in, or what's maybe going on in that? You start to see very differently. You don't take as much at face value. I feel like it's like, oh, maybe there's insecurity there. Maybe there's something that's creating that behavior versus that's just who they are or how they are.
Right.
You know? Let's talk about the values as you've done this work with your coach and as you've started to really put yourself out there. What do you feel like are some core values that you've either always known that you've had, or things that you've discovered through this process? Like, oh, these are core values that are very important and meaningful to me.
Ooh, you just made me think of one of my favorite books that I read, The Four Agreements.
Okay.
Have you read it?
I feel like I've heard of it, but
okay,
share more.
So good. So be impeccable with your word.
Mm-hmm.
Huge. And it resonates with me so much because when I say I'm going to do something, if I actually do it, it feels good for me and for the other person.
Yep. And more, it's like you want more integrity in your life, be your word more often. And I think we think of integrity in almost like a negative way or in a different way, but really what you're describing is integrity. It's like, if I say I'm going to do something and I do it, that's me keeping my word.
Then it goes deeper than that. It makes you think before you talk. Because if I'm being impeccable with my word and I want to say something maybe that I don't mean, but I just want to say it to prove a point, maybe I'm going to back off and think about it, because I wouldn't be holding to my word if I'm saying something I don't mean.
Yeah.
So it helps control any emotional part that you might be coming from.
Totally. And agreeing to things. I know for me, it's like just agree to things to agree.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I totally feel like, oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, I'll do that. It's like, wait, I don't have time for that. Why did I just say I'm going to do that? And then you're like scrambling to do it, or then you have to like not be your word, and then
yeah. So be impeccable with your word. Don't take things personally. Okay, so when I pulled up to the networking event, I was actually luckily on the phone with a girlfriend of mine, and I was like, oh, I just got really nervous to go in here. It's a nice hotel. Yeah. It's going to be, that kind of vibe. And she's like, guess what? Nobody cares about what you look like. They're all worried and insecure about themselves. We're
all going through the same exact thought. Yeah.
So drop it.
Totally.
Just go be yourself, have fun. And I was like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you're right.
I knew that.
Totally.
So be impeccable with your word. Don't take things personally. What's my third one? Always do your best. This is huge.
Yeah.
Don't half-ass things.
100%. Yeah, because it's like, it goes, I think, back to is like being your word. It's like, if I'm going to do something, if you're going to do something, do it right. Put your all into it.
Honestly, I grew up being embarrassed to look really good and do something. What's up with that? That's dumb. So you're going to dumb yourself down?
Yeah.
So that you don't stand out?
Yeah. How dare you stand out?
Just want to blend in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's like, we again, going back to creating ourselves, it's like we listen to influences or insecurities of others. Sometimes it's like, if you're an empath, and as a creative, I know you, it's like you are empathetic to how people are feeling or seeing things, and it's like sometimes we dull ourselves, not even because of our own like inability or insecurity to be bright, but it's like, oh, I don't want to impact someone else that maybe will feel insecure because of my confidence, or so we create these stories in our minds of reasons not to do things, when in reality, when we can be our best version of ourselves, that's when we can help others be the best version of themselves.
And it's attractive. Law of attraction.
Totally.
People come to you. They actually want to be around you when you're being your best self.
Totally.
So why wouldn't we let it shine?
Yeah. 100%.
And the last one is don't assume. Don't make assumptions.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I love that.
There's a saying around that we all know. But to actually not do that is so hard, because I mean, you would expect people to be accountable with their words.
Yeah.
So for example, we said that we were meeting here today.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I assumed, based on your text from yesterday, that we were still on. This is a pretty safe assumption. Yeah. We're good.
Totally.
But if you think about how people make scheduling nowadays, you need to confirm almost day of, like I'm on my way.
Totally.
But yeah, making assumptions is such a no-no.
Yeah. How do you feel that those principles bleed over into your work and into Design Me, or Define Me? How do these things that are now creating how you interact with people in a day-to-day, how is that now translating to the work that you do with your clients?
Oh, it's incredible. Because keeping to these 4 values only make me more accountable. I can get straight to the point in terms of business. Like, I'm not taking anything personally.
Yeah.
I'm able to help better by taking myself out of it. And yeah, overall, it's just really helped my whole business thrive.
I love that. What are things that you see that a lot of brands miss when it comes to defining themselves?
This is huge. And this is why I'm so good at helping people. It's because I did the same thing.
Yeah.
You're doing what you think you're supposed to do, not what you feel in your heart you want to do. So when I first started my brand, I wanted to look smart and techie, and I had all these like stock figure images of like web building, and it was like a blue theme. And I realized, like, this isn't me. Totally. Why am I trying to not be my funny, silly self?
Yeah.
Oh, I can do business and be this person as well. And if I'm just myself, I'll actually succeed more than ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I was like, what do I love? I was like, every time I see a monarch butterfly, I get so happy.
Yeah.
And it's orange. Do I like the color orange? or just happy.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, ooh, monarch butterfly transformation. I mean, what I've been going through the last 10 years of being an entrepreneur, I've been a caterpillar, I went into my cocoon, and now I'm finally taking flight into a beautiful butterfly. And I can help people do that too.
How?
By helping them embrace themselves. And it really comes from a deep brand strategy space.
Yeah.
This is something we talk a lot about.
Yeah.
People don't understand how important brand strategy is.
Yeah.
Why would we want to pay for that? Because this is how you're going to define yourself.
Yeah.
It's also going to give you the tools you need to succeed.
Totally.
Hey, this is your strategy.
This is your blueprint. This is how you show up in the world. This is how you create yourself as a brand, right?
It's like goofy not to do it.
Totally.
And you will set yourself back by not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's often short-term things. It's like, oh, I need ads. I need this. I need things that you can move the needle in that moment in time, and sometimes are absolutely necessary for a business to do. But I think fundamentally, you're going to be doing that over and over and over again, like recreating yourself in each of those moments as a business versus taking a step back, getting very clear on who am I? Why do I exist? What is it that I want to accomplish with this business? Not just the products and services I provide, but I think really getting clear on what do the products and services that I provide do for the clients that I serve. Because that's what's really going to resonate with your ideal clients. Isn't like, oh, I do video, I do this. It's like, no, what are those things going to do for me as a business owner? You know?
Right. That's a huge thing. So when you're introducing yourself, for example, at a networking event, it's like people will say, oh, what do you do? You could say like, I do website design, branding, graphic design, coaching, I do social media marketing.
Totally.
Or you could say I help fellow entrepreneurs who are ready to grow their business and succeed. And then you can kind of start playing a story off of that, which actually has a bigger impact.
Totally. Because now I'm bought into like, oh yeah, I want that. Like, website, what if I don't need a website? Or, you know, when we list what we do, unless that person in that very moment is absolutely looking for that, it's like versus, hey, I'm going to help you figure out what you want, achieve the goals you have, and define what that success looks like for you. Like, okay, tell me more. How do you do it? What do you, and then it's like a whole different conversation than just listing off the technical skills that you have.
You just gave me a great idea to actually introduce yourself with a story, like of somebody that you're helping right now or that you just helped. Yeah. It's like, oh, well, you know, before they came to me, they didn't have a website or a logo. Now they're, you know, they have a great following on social media. They are selling products online. Like, it's incredible. Yeah. What a story tells. And that's what we do. We tell stories.
100%. What is it about great brands, maybe brands that you love, that you feel like is something that makes them so meaningful to so many?
It's about a brand that's more than just selling, right?
Yeah.
So, and now I'm fortunate enough that I really only work with people who I do believe are trying to do something for the greater good, have a purpose beyond just selling.
Yeah.
Because I realize that it doesn't resonate with me. And I'm learning more and more to listen to my intuition, that little voice that gets pushed aside so easily.
Yes.
I'm trying to listen, and I stop and I breathe sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, wait, this is not right.
Yeah.
And I was fighting against that for so long.
Yeah.
And now that I'm trying not to fight it, it's like I'm scaling a lot faster.
Totally.
So I would say sticking to my gut, working with these businesses that are trying to impact the world or help people. And that means with me helping somebody that's helping, we're overall helping
Totally.
together.
Yeah. You're aligned.
It's
with what they
beautiful.
want and with what you want. Yeah.
And that's the other thing. The moment I took away, okay, I want to make money.
Yeah.
And I made it about, I want to help people. The money came naturally.
Totally.
It's like, what?
And then you're also, seriously, it's crazy. And you're working with, like you said, you're kind of weeding out clients that wouldn't have been a good fit anyways, that like maybe could have paid you good money or had, but it's like, but then you're unhappy. It's not a great experience for you and maybe not a great experience for them because there's not this alignment or they're expecting something. And it's just, you know, I think we've all had clients or experiences like that where it's like you're trying to make something work because maybe the money or the potential opportunity, when it's like that's also filling your plate so you can't go find that client that you can really vibe with, you could really help and really help expand their business, you know?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So I just had a situation come up yesterday where someone would like to work with me to build a brand. I can't really talk about what it is yet, but it's product and it would help people, it would be good for the environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it could really make a lot of money. Plus it would be fun.
Yeah.
I don't think they have a budget. And
Okay.
I'm kind of like, what would you do? I kind of wanted to ask your opinion.
So something that I'm not great at currently, but shout out to Chris Doe. I'm part of his The Future podcast and his like pro network is a lot of resources and tools and so many especially for agency owners, just ways of thinking about client relationships, building your business, scaling your team. But one of the things that I'm recognizing through this program and learning and trying to apply in our agency is that there are different reasons to work with different clients, and there are reasons to fire clients or to not work with certain clients. So being really clear on kind of creating almost like a metric system that you can measure clients against, like payment or revenue is an important piece, but there's also like your satisfaction of working with that person or alignment of things that you're passionate about and that you're excited about. It could be that this client can get you more of the work that you want to. It could be more portfolio driven where it's like, oh, if I can help this brand who may not have a budget, but I actually want to be doing more of this type of work, I want to be working with more clients like this. This is something that I can build my portfolio and then go show 3 or 4 clients similar to this client that I want more of. So I think my suggestion would be is to get clear on like 5 I can't think of the word, but like 5 values that you can measure clients or potential clients against. And then it's like, if it's a B or above, then I would say work with it. Like if it checks all the boxes, but the revenue box isn't checked, but you'd be excited, they're a great company, you see a future, then it's like, maybe there's an opportunity to get creative with the funding piece. Like, hey, over time or whatever it may be, you know, or maybe it's just like, this is going to be a portfolio piece and I'm going to have fun doing it. And then this is going to put me in a place where I'm going to do more work like this. So I think it's getting clear on your objectives and your long-term goals and not just doing work to do it. Cause this is also the, like, you don't want to just take on work and like say yes just to people please. But if you have a good like system for measuring your like ideal clients, then I think
it's all about measuring everything.
Yeah. just find a way to
Yeah.
measure it, and then
Okay.
if it works, it works.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very helpful. I just need to figure out what those are.
Yeah.
You think 5's a good number?
I have a list in my notebook we can go
Okay.
over. I can't remember what they are, but a way of like evaluating our current clients and potential clients, where it
Right.
just breaks it down in a way where you can just think about, okay, what do I want out of this relationship, and what can I provide? And, yeah.
Well, and it's interesting too, because I mean, sometimes in terms of like how we're elevating ourselves, sometimes I make the same mistake multiple times.
Oh, totally.
And you're like, wait, didn't we just go over that
Yeah.
a few days ago or weeks ago?
Yeah.
Why'd you do that again? So I just want to be careful.
Yeah.
I want to be calm, cool, and collected. And I am no longer at a point where I'm just jumping on anything that comes my way.
Totally.
So yeah, I have to really think about that. And the value system is going to be huge.
Yeah, I think it's really going back to define me. I think it's defining for you what you want. Like, where do you want to go as you're now at this place? Like, and I think that's another important thing for businesses, entrepreneurs, brands to recognize, is like, a good brand strategy doesn't mean that it's like that document is locked in a vault and it never changes.
No.
It's get clarity, operate with the clarity you have at that time, at that, moment. And then inevitably there's this evolution point that sounds like you're going through at this stage of, okay, now that I have more clients and I'm in a place like, okay, what am I evolving to in this next phase? And how do I take my strategy that got me here, make a few tweaks, define what this next phase really looks like, and then push myself to that next stage.
Right. Because you've got your who, what, why, when, where.
Yeah.
And those actually do change, just like you change.
Yeah. Yeah. We all evolve and grow, and we learn new things. And I think it's being like having clarity and knowing why we do what we do and what we want it to accomplish, but being okay with, as we receive new information and as we evolve and change ourselves, that like those things might shift, That's
another thing, being okay with change, embracing change. That's been a huge thing. Growing pains for me.
Yeah.
And it's like, as you're evolving, you are continuously going to deal with things that make you feel uneasy.
Yeah, totally.
And it's actually a good thing.
Yeah.
So don't get stressed out about them.
Totally.
Be excited that you're dealing with something new.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So that's why it goes back to the networking, wanting to do more speeches, coming on a podcast. Put yourself out there. If it might make you a little nervous or have butterflies in your tummy, it's actually good for you.
Yeah. That's the way we grow. We push ourselves. Talk to me a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey. What does that look like? What made you decide to be an entrepreneur? How did you make that leap?
Wow, this is a good story. Might have started when I was 8 years old selling lemonade.
No doubt.
On the side of the streets.
Love it. Yeah.
I realized I started off selling it for like 25 cents. I realized, could probably get $1. Just bumped up my prices. This cute kid threw on some pigtails, flower sunglasses.
Oh, yeah.
Nice big sign. And from there,
So
then
you understood the power of brand even at 8 years old. I'm seeing. Yeah.
I realized I could sell all my Barbies and get money.
There you go.
Wish I kept them, actually.
Yeah, now they'd be worth more money.
Right.
Yeah.
But I went through high school and I didn't really feel like I fit in. So I ended up going to the community college and I did a year and a half there. And it was called Running Start. And I actually grew up on an island, Orcas Island in Washington State. And I had to take a ferry to go to the community college. And then my senior year, when everyone else was trying to cram in more classes, get all their credits, I only had to go to school 2 days a week for a few hours.
Nice.
So we didn't have a cheerleading squad on the island. So I made one.
Nice.
And that was kind of a dive into creating something, getting funding, doing all the choreography,
Totally.
community, team, and performing.
Yeah.
So from there, when I graduated, I actually moved out here. And I was on the SCC fighting artichokes. Go Chokes.
I was an artichoke for a semester or two. Yep.
And I had a huge passion for dogs. So I created a business called Beauty in the Bark. And
Nice.
that was when my first LLC was built. So I think I was 19. And it was all about matching women's clothes to dogs' clothes.
Nice.
Which was very fun.
That's awesome.
I was really good at making that happen, doing my business plan, getting my LLC, registering for resale license, doing all this. I was really good at the back end stuff. Then I started building a website and I did all this stuff before I actually had anything to sell. And I was like, oh, how do we make the clothes?
Totally, yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And I realized that was actually quite difficult.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, totally.
Especially with no budget to try to manufacture.
The dog's clothes, right? Or
yeah.
Dogs are all different sizes.
Yep.
Basically all custom or yeah.
Yeah. So just like ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I was 19. I wish I knew about networking events then.
Yeah.
So from there, I realized that I could make a lot of money in the bar industry.
Yeah.
So I would be working on my business stuff and then bartending on the side. And at that time in my life, for where everyone else was, they were still in school. And I was making pretty good money.
Yeah.
I was like, this is great. I'll do this for a little while. And then I know I want to be a business owner.
Yeah.
Like that's my passion. So I ended up doing the bar scene for a while. I got really, really good at it. Helped open up a bar in LA. And then I had an opportunity to go to Dubai. And I lived there for 8 months. And developed an employee training manual and operations manual for a franchise that was coming to the States.
Wow.
So that was kind of my dive into real job, corporate-ish, entrepreneur. I had to make my own schedule. I had to actually make decisions. Figure out how to source things, price things, teach people.
Totally.
It was huge.
Yeah.
And I think I was like 23 at that time. And then after that, I just kind of had my eye on doing something of my own because I'm so inspired by people who are able to do that.
Yeah.
They have a vision.
Totally.
And then they actually make it into something tangible. Like what?
Crazy. Yeah.
So I ended up coming back to the States and I moved back home for a little bit and I decided to take on Beauty in the Bark again. And I had a farmer's market booth. I took on sewing. I realized that was way too time consuming.
Yes.
But I did make dog clothes.
Nice.
And then I ended up getting like a heat press, silhouette cutter. I did like lots of heat press vinyl clothing.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Did some cork art, just kind of
nice.
Fun, really, really hard to do.
Totally.
I respect so much the farmers market people.
It's a grind. Seriously.
Setting up that tent by yourself.
Oh, it's insane. Yeah.
I felt so silly because once you do it a few times, you're like, yeah, I know what you're doing. But actually doing it, you have to like fluff it up.
We used to do a lot of markets with Keep Nature Wild, and it's there is something great about that, like human to human interaction, and you get that instant feedback, and people see your product, but there's no more draining day than doing like Phoenix Flea or a big market. Just a lot.
This is a great way, though, to get your brand out there.
Oh, totally.
Especially festivals. I mean,
Yeah.
figure out what your niche is.
Yeah.
And go do
And
that.
you get to talk to people face to you get to, like I early on I was like, we should do more markets just for the feedback.
Absolutely.
Because like online you're selling stuff and you get reviews and things, but you get how people interact with it. They see it, they see the design, they see the things, what are they drawn to, why. You hear their conversations with their friends, you hear all this like aggregated information that's so insightful.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually had a brand, kind of skipping forward. I started building brands. I was doing graphic design, website development, just for myself because I liked to change what I wanted to do every 2 weeks. Like, I'm going to build a new brand.
Yeah.
Love building the brands.
Yeah.
So I built one clothing brand that I actually ended up getting like 30,000 Instagram followers for.
Nice.
And I was making sales, but I knew that I had to go to these festivals. I had to take the time to do it. And it wasn't like a huge passion of mine.
Yeah.
So I didn't really want to do it.
Totally.
But I knew how to make it succeed.
Yeah.
And that was just circling back to how important it is to get in front of your target audience in every single way. Yeah. They need to like see you in what they're doing, what they're interested in, and online. If you can cover them in all ways, then they won't forget you.
Yeah. And I think that you touch on a good point of like, you validate for yourself what you want. And is this something that I could see myself doing long term? And is this like, by putting yourself out there, I think we often like get so caught up in thinking about making a decision or planning, or when it's like you take that first step, you're going to learn more about whether you love this or not, or whether your product's great or not, or what you need to change or evolve by just taking that first step.
Absolutely. So really what I guess led me to where I am today was continuously making websites for myself and creating brands and leading that to realize I was so good at that that I could start helping other people. Totally. So it started off with a med spa in Vail, Colorado, and I did a trade. And then slowly but surely, I ended up getting a little bit of money for my work. Yeah. And then my portfolio started becoming so big. And I think that because of my journey, I'm able to help people who are going through the same thing. Totally. And in between there, I've also done advertising and some other things like that. I've actually been able to make successful businesses as well, which is cool because at first it was just all about building and not really about actually having monetary value. But when you combine the two, it's a powerhouse.
What would you say your ideal client is today?
Yeah, I think we touched on that tiny bit earlier. It's definitely in the direction of helping for the greater good. Yeah. Strangely, the universe has been bringing me a lot of people in the medical field. And these people are helping. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm excited to be working with a doctor right now from another Colorado doctor. And it's all about how they're helping people too.
Yeah. Their vibe, what they're bringing to the table.
Have you heard about hormone like therapy?
I've listened to a number of podcasts we talk about.
Okay.
And there's a lot of interesting, and with DNA testing and
so
targeted
bioidentical hormone pellets. So I'm really excited to be working with her because I think that could be something I'm interested in doing. Yeah. You can get your body tested and you can figure out what you might be missing. Totally. And it could be like, oh, I sometimes get brain fog. Oh, I feel tired at this point in time. Or like, why am I being affected in a weird way? You can like fix that.
Totally. Yeah, you don't have to just
and it's natural.
Wait and wonder.
I'm all about this because it is helping people. Also, if you're dealing with like menopause or anything like that, you can regulate your whole body and make you feel normal again.
There's so much that I think with all the technology and testing and DNA and all these like newer developments that are more targeted versus how do we make something that generally is going to work for the masses. It's like getting to this more like targeted treatment plans, I think is really exciting.
Well, and you can bring that into like, I think how you and I both work with our clients.
Yeah.
It's not a one size fits all.
Totally.
It's a unique strategy that goes into anybody. It's going to be different. And I think that's what makes working with us so different.
Totally.
You're not treated like a number at all.
Yeah.
It's so deep.
What do you think motivates that in you to work with your clients in that way?
I would say because I understand how important it is to get that genuine connection and empathy to actually feel like someone really wants to help me.
Yeah.
Which, quite frankly, that doesn't actually happen that often. So when working with me, I guess do what I would want.
Yeah.
So I'm that person that calls and checks in. I want to make sure that you're accountable for what you're doing.
Totally.
I go out of my way to be kind and more helpful. I give when people work with me, they get more than they're paying for because it's like I'm going to help you in any way I possibly can.
Totally.
And a lot of that's advice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, how many people do you see that have a business that are still using a Gmail? Like at gmail.com.
A lot.
And it's on their business card.
I know, it's a lot.
And this is a simple thing they might not know how to do.
Totally.
I mean, let's figure it out together.
Let's dial that in.
Yeah,
for sure.
Here you go.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you look more legit.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah, it's those little things and delivering that value for people, which is a perfect segue to our final question we ask everyone who's been on the show. What role has kindness played in building your success?
Kindness is the heart of everything that I do. And it all came from learning to be kind to myself. Once I learned how to be kind to myself, then I could help other people reach where they want to go.
Yeah. I think that's such a powerful thing to have that clarity for ourselves and then be able to like recognize it and support it in others.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's huge. How do you feel like that translates into your process and into the way that you work with clients?
Absolutely. It has to just come from this place of kindness in your heart and helping. And again, that's like where my drive comes from, because when I'm being myself and being a good person and I'm coming from a place of wanting to help, then naturally people are coming to me and they want to be helped. So it's a real what goes around comes around.
Totally.
And if more people could be kind, it'd be amazing what they can see happen in their lives.
100%. There's your mic drop. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Such a great conversation about kindness and how it applies to ourselves, and really in defining who we are, what we want, and what we want to accomplish. And that's what Ariel helps brands do and create and find in themselves. And I think it's such a pleasure. I see it in how you show up and the way you carry yourself and the interactions that we've had, that kindness, that clarity that you have of who you are shows up. So
thank you.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah. And for all of you who've tuned in, thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe to our show here on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts, and leave us a review. Let us know what role kindness is playing in your life. And thank you so much. See you next time.